Well, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Jan Erickson from Stepping Aside, and welcome to Somewhat Daily Tarot and Rune for the 17th day of February 2020. Well, I'm getting started a little bit late today, so it's good afternoon instead of good morning. So, in any event, I just wanted to let you know that the correspondences are going to go up here while I watch this thing. I'll do them. I got up late this morning. So in any event, also over on Patreon, the Elder Booth Arc Part 3 is up. So that completes that three-part series. So that's over there if you want to go check that out. You have to be a patron, though, to watch it. So you'll have to sign up, unfortunately. So if you want to see it there, you can. If you want to wait a month or so or 3 weeks or whatever I have it at, it'll go live on YouTube at some point. But until then, it's locked over there on Patreon for patrons. So hopefully you'll sign up and watch it. That would be lovely. I would so appreciate it. But in any event, let's go ahead and look and see what the astrology is for today. I did it for noon. I started to do it for earlier, then I thought, no, I can't do that because it's not earlier. It's noon now. It's like 12:05 or something. So I did it for noon. Ascendant, is Ascendant in Taurus? No, it's in Gemini. It's in Gemini, so chatty Gemini. Let's see, Moon in the 7th house of Sagittarius. So good time for partnerships of all kinds, but with the Sagittarian influence, you could, be opening up to new adventures or expanding your relationship somehow. There's going to be some corresponding things here too, and this time I went ahead and actually noted it. So I may go back and forth a little bit here and reinforce some of this, but the sun's in the 10th house in Aquarius. Again, time for innovation, possibly on the career front. So, we have some expansion, whether you're talking Sagittarius or Aquarius. I mean, they're different, but their energy is kind of focused, on new things and innovative things and all of that. So they share some of those aspects together. So there you're going to see some, so you can see some effect there on relationships. Possibly, 10th house would be career. So, Mercury, 10th house Pisces, another career-oriented thing. Here, intuition is high surrounding your life direction or career. Time to dream big, and I think that this is one where it relates to the sun in where it is in the 10th house of Aquarius. But again, Gemini, being the ascendant in Gemini, that's kind of innovative. So lots of things like that today. Let's see, semi-square Saturn is kind of a medium influence. Last week it was a strong influence. Delays might occur and frustrations could increase. Avoid a narrow focus and learn from the experience. Another path may open. That's actually happening for me right now. So I don't know. It's kind of weird. Going to be one of those weird days. So if it's happening to me, then hopefully most of this will resonate with all of you guys listening. So let's see. Venus, 11th house Aries, expand your social life, or your social life will expand today either way. Patience surrounding business today with Mars in the 7th house and Capricorn. Again, couple places where we're in the 7th house, and so relationships, partnerships are always going to be in focus with that. Capricorn counsels patience, so does Saturn. The planet Saturn does too, slowing down and all of that, taking stock. You're going to see some of that later on here. But patience surrounding career or business today, so that you don't maybe take the bait or anything, or see something there that isn't there and start getting upset or something. Mars energy is passionate and catalytic. So sometimes if it's unrestrained, things happen. Jupiter, 8th house Capricorn, reassess how you spend your time. And again, make careful plans for the future. That careful aspect of it is the Capricorn influence. And the 8th is you're looking at the bigger picture. We see that with the 8 in tarot, where we're looking at, leadership and things like that. But the idea behind a leader is that you have the ability to see the bigger picture. You're not just put there ceremoniously, right? It's a ceremonial position. Or a dictator or whatever, where you only see your own needs and views, and then you use the position you're in to self-deal and make yourself rich while everybody else suffers. Sextile Neptune, you're going to feel at one with everything today. Again, intuition and empathic ability is strong, so you're going to feel that in an expansive way. So let it guide you. You know, if you feel like, oh, I'm about to step in it, don't. You know, use that intuition to know that you shouldn't. Eighth house in Capricorn for Saturn, similar to eighth house Capricorn Jupiter, reassessment of beliefs now. So you're going to see a lot of that's been happening, though, lately, hasn't it? Where we're starting to rethink the groups we may have joined. You know, maybe they were cause-based, or you got caught up in something. And then all of a sudden, the last few weeks, we're starting to reassess some of that. That maybe it's not, maybe they were just of the moment. And it's not that you don't necessarily dislike them anymore, but maybe your life is just, you know, settled into a different place and you're ready to move in a different direction. Uranus, 11th house Taurus, reflection and an inward focus, seeking truth around relationships. That reinforces that. The semi-square between Uranus and Neptune is still strong. So we're still guarding against deception or the long-played con. Go within and allow intuition and higher self to guide you here. If you know something's off, then it is. No question. It's just a matter of figuring out what that is. Neptune, 10th house Pisces, inner focus, career, having to do with career today with the 10th house, looking for a new vibrational resonance in your career choice. This is a time where it really matters what you're doing. Is it fulfilling some inner spiritual need? Because if it's not, then you're likely going to be feeling out at sorts at work, and maybe you're going to want to make a change, either to change the environment there to one that's maybe you can be a little more reflective or spiritual or what have you. You know, take a higher, you know, energy, higher vibration focus where you're at and see what you can do to affect change that way. Make people rise to your level. Don't succumb to theirs. And so maybe that's all that needs to happen. Maybe that's the transition that needs to happen on the career front, is just change how you emanate. Are you emanating ego? Are you emanating or expressing spirit? So maybe if you started expressing spirit, you might see in other words, you might not have to change positions at all. You might find the fulfillment you're looking for there. It's just in how you're looking at it and how you're approaching it. But this is a time to discover what truly drives you. And it's not the material aspect. It's not the income. It's something else. And I will share this with you. I have been struggling with the same. And it's very hard sometimes to be self-driven. And so you look for the same level of response that kept you going in more traditional senses. If you have done like I have done, you've stepped away from all of that and you're just simply self-generating everything you do. Well, that's a tricky place to be. And if things aren't going the way you want them to, I have a book I just tried to publish on a different platform, and they're like, well, no, it has to be longer. It's like, well, no, it's going to be stupid. It's going to be redundant. I'm not going to do that. So now I'm going to, I don't know. I explored the idea of an Etsy shop. So maybe I'll just start selling some of my books that I write in PDF format. Because if they're ebooks, that's what they are anyway, right? They're PDF format anyway, really, or something like it, you know, Mobi or EPUB or whatever. But, you know, maybe I just need to start selling them over on an Etsy shop, you know, link it to my blog or something and just, you know, pull everything off, or anything new I do, just go do it myself. You know, you can download it. You're going to read it online anyway, or you're going to read it on an e-reader anyway, or, you know, on some kind of PDF reader. So why not? You know, I don't know. I'm still thinking. But again, when one door closes, another door opens. I mean, I suppose I could add to it, but I just don't see the point, you know? So in any event, if they don't want to publish it, that's fine. They did republish the second edition of Confessions of a Back Porch Herbalist, though. I went ahead and I took that off of, I just went ahead and delisted it on Amazon. And so the only place you can get it now is, well, as of the 25th, unless they send anything else out to me. The only place you're going to be able to get it is like Apple Books and Barnes and Noble and Kobo, I guess, and Tolino, and then Scribd might take it. I don't know. They haven't said yet. Biblioteca might take it. They haven't said yet. Those take a little longer for them to get back because they're institution type places. And so anyway, we're waiting to see on that. But they took the others. The others took it, and it's basically an updated version of the original one. I had to rewrite the whole thing basically. Some of it's the same, but there's updated stuff in there. So if you want to know about how I healed using cannabis and other traditional herbs, but primarily cannabis, that's going to be up. I'll let you know when it's live over there, assuming it does go live. But right now it looks like it will. I've not gotten any letters or any emails saying, hey. So in any event, I delisted it over on Amazon, and I have it on these other places now, but not till the 25th. So check back then if you want to see if it's there. I will be. But I don't know. I'll either continue with this process with new books I write, or I might just switch it all over to Etsy and just do PDFs. So I don't know. In any event, let's see. One last one. Chiron in 11th house Aries, work through problems that you have in a group setting. But the thing is you might be called on today to be someone's healer. So be aware of that. So let's go ahead and get started, and we'll take our first three cards and see what they have to say. We'll take a fourth if we have to. And remember, a couple weeks ago, we got crazy and took 5. That was interesting. So let's see what we have today on this 17th day, this 8 energy day of looking at the overall picture and being the authority and sovereign person in your own life. Good Lord. I'm taking the 13th one for randomness sake, as you know, if you've been here before, but I'm having difficulty doing it. And it's afternoon. I have no excuses. It's like before, it's, oh, my hands don't work in the morning, which they don't always do. Not always very coordinated. Well, here we have Pentacles, the 10 of Pentacles. I love this card. It's about family and home and legacy. I love it. There's certain cards. Also, in the Wild Unknown Tarot, if you ever look at that deck, wow. You look at some of them, and I don't know if it was the 10 or what it was, but it's a scene from inside like a dolmen or a dolmen-like rock house type of structure, but it looks like a dolmen would look. But you go in and you're looking out from, in the card, you're actually looking out from the doorway, and actually from inside it, but through the doorway you can see the rest of the world. And oh my gosh, if you have not seen that deck, you should. Just go buy it. You'll thank me. Even if you're not into non-traditional decks, this will resonate. I know it will. So we have we have a court card, the Knight of Swords. So the air element, swift movement. Directionality is interesting here because he's going in the past, basically. Past things are coming up, maybe. And he's rushing back to deal with them, maybe. Swords is the intellect. And the air element, so reason, again, intellect, balance, justice, fairness. Let's do the third card. The Four of Pentacles. This is a fun card. Really at odds. It really depends on the direction you take. I'm going to stop with 3 cards here, and I think that what I'm going to do, let's start with the Knight of Swords. Okay. Knights are passionate. They're older than the page. Pages are students and develop potential. The Knights have more potential. They've already, kind of prepared their way, and now they're going out. Either they're doing it on behalf of the kingdom, or they're doing it on behalf of, just looking around for what they want to do. But they're protective. With swords, there's typically some kind of a message that's involved, or some kind of restoration of balance, maybe. Directionality is interesting, especially when it comes to the court. A lot of the time, well, I guess the way that I interpret this is that it deals with the present or the past, but it's not about the future. So he's not going off in search of something. He's not going off to protect against something. He's basically trying to bring things into balance that already are, or something from the past is coming in that he's needing to address. So if we look at it also, though, in terms of the greater picture, okay, given that it's an 8-day, here's your picture. Here's the decision you need to make. Here's the direction taken and the results of it. Let's start with the 4, okay? Here we have someone who's extraordinarily miserly. It's the king. He has his back to the kingdom. He's hanging on to his large coin there with both arms, right? He's displaying his wealth on his head. He's putting his feet on the other. You see that line of demarcation there, that straight line or a double line here in between him and the kingdom? Well, basically what that's telling us is that he's using the kingdom to make his own fortune, and it's all about him. The four generally denotes structure, but it can also denote the interrelationship between people. Think gears, a foundation. It can also mean respite, allowing things to settle, if you will. Basically, that's the same thing as creating a strong and solid foundation. When you let things settle, then you can kind of see where it all needs to go, and then you can arrange it the way you need it to be, right? But it appears that the only focus he has is his own, similar to the 4 of Cups in that regard, where he can't see what's being offered to him. Well, here, he's going to hang on to everything he's got because it's more important that he has it than anyone else. That's why his back is to the kingdom. But you take a look here, and what do you see? You see an older man, his dog's by his side, his wealth around him. You see an archway into the future there, don't you? You see what looks like either, it could be his family, his son and daughter-in-law, or daughter and son-in-law. They've come to visit. You see a child there, right here. There's a little child. I'll get that closer so you can see. So it looks like mom, dad, and the child, or the kids, have come to see grandpa and his puppies. You can see the grapes on the ground. You can see the strength of legacy there, can't you? The abundance. Off in the distance over here, you see another tower. And the 10 pentacles are arranged in the Kabbalistic tree of life. The tree of life from the Kabbalah, we'll say it that way. Very similar anyway. So if we have to go back, I think we're going to draw a 4th card here. If we have to go back and reassess, we're talking a lot about that today, aren't we? Aren't we talking about that in the, let me find it. Let's see, reassess. Mercury, 10th house Pisces, we're reassessing there today. Also, semi-square Saturn, there's this reassessment in there. Jupiter, 8th house Capricorn, reassessing how you spend your time, making careful plans for the future. One that will sustain and be abundant for all, or one that will just be for you. Oh, this is fun, isn't it? Let's see what else. Guard against deception and the long played con. We know that's going on in our country right now. Inner focus, new vibrational resonance that you need to have. What truly drives you? Clearly, what drives him is the acquisition of money and wealth. But what drives this man is the time that he's put in with his family and the establishment of his legacy or tradition. When when you think about that, and maybe we'll draw that, but before we do, I'll just do one real quick. When we look at Othala, I don't know that we'll draw that one today, that the 24th rune of the Elder Futhark, but it'd be cool if we did, wouldn't it? Because really, that's what we're talking about. What legacy do we want to leave for others? And I really believe that the Knight of Swords is aligning with the whole notion of reassessment of what we think, reassessment of our beliefs and values. But if we look at Othala, we see Ingus and Gebo, balanced energy exchange with others. And this is about tradition. It's about legacy. It's about the Akashic record. It's about who we are together as one. I know it doesn't look like it here in form, but we are energetically. So let's just do one more card and see if it can give us just a little more information here. But I think it will. Again, I think the Knight is telling us to reassess and take another look at how we're living and how we're providing for our own material security. Are we doing it in conjunct with other people? Or are we just doing it by deception and the long played con? Because this guy's the embodiment of the long played con. Everyone thought he was going to do for him, but oh, no, he's just doing for himself, no matter what he says. Because he's going to keep telling you, because that's his thing, right? Guys like this, they're going to keep lying and lying and lying and lying, make the lie as big as possible, repeat it 1,000,000 times. Pretty soon everybody suddenly believes it. It's familiar. Nobody stops to think it's nonsense. Ace of Wands. New expression of will and creativity. We're going to have to get creative about this, aren't we? Let's see if there was something else. Yeah, the birth of creative thought, birth of passion, birth, power, energy. But again, where are we going to put it? Are we going to put it in something that's so miserly that nobody else gets any of it? That nobody else shares in our success or anything, especially when we're someone in authority? Are we just going to keep it all for ourselves while everybody else in the kingdom suffers? Or are we going to understand that the way forward is in generosity? And that when we all do better, when the least of us, the least among us do better, everyone does better. Let's do a rune. Maybe it'll be Othala, huh? That'd be cool. A little bit of interesting synchronicity today on this Monday, this moon day filled with cycles and emotion and all of that. Change. Well, we didn't get Othala, but we got Ingus. The sudden expansion of energy in all directions. Well, generated from within. It kind of looks like this. It also looks like this. Two X's on top of one another. Depends on how you want to see it, I guess. One's Anglo-Saxon, one's Germanic. I think this one's Germanic. But we've got Kenaz opening in all directions to provide the impetus for the seed. We have Yira, but just, again, Kenaz in both directions. But there's Kenaz up here that illustrates what Ingus does. And then it also, though, if you were to just move it slightly, you'd have Yira, which is more balanced energy exchange, moving energy through the body. Both are garden bind runes, so it should tell you something, or both are garden runes for harvest and gardening and all of that and growth. So that should tell you, which growth do you want? I mean, I get what he wants, right? Because that's what he's always wanted. It's all about the gold. It's all about the money. It's all about the perception of fame and glory. But it's not real. It was contrived by other people because he's actually none of those things. But again, we have this Neptune and Uranus semi-square, guard against deception or the long played con. Well, that's what that is. Because I will tell you that the king didn't get there without the long played Conan effect. I can tell you that. That's so cool. We got that, isn't it? Okay, where are my geomancy runes? Am I going to drop one on the floor? Well, of course. Okay, let's do the geomancy to close out here because I think we're doing pretty good on time. We're about 25 minutes. Let's see. Define fire. Oh, there's fire. So I've got 2, a passive influence for fire and an active for water. 2 for, oh, well, okay. It's Rubius. So here's the thing. We've talked about this before. There are 3 geomancy glyphs or runes or symbols that if you draw them first, geomancers of old would say, yeah, destroy the reading. I don't believe in that. But this is the rune. We've got passive influences for air, water, and earth, and an active influence for air, or rather for fire, water, and earth, and an active influence for air. So you can see where when will and emotion and water emotions and the whole grounding thing is just passively there. It's not asserting itself. You can see how the mouth can get away from you and you end up saying things that you don't want to say. That's really the negative aspect of Rubius. Rubius is the opposite is Albus, and so you're talking about their wisdom and somebody older with white hair. Rubius is more likely to be, this guy when he's ill-dignified. Okay, so you're going to have swords doing this. He's going to be, yapping when he should be quiet, and should be listening. So instead he's talking, and he's irritating everybody. But that's your rune. That's your geomancy rune called Rubius. I think it's a Mars and Scorpio one. Let me look. Let me just look here. I think it's Mars and Scorpio. Oh, where are you? Yeah. Yeah. Now Agrippa, now see, normally we look at this as a water element because of Mars and Scorpio. Scorpio is the guiding principle there. Scorpio is a water element sign. Now, it could also be air if you're because now Agrippa is according it to fire and Mars in Gemini. So, massive speech problems. So it just kind of depends on how you want to look at that. When I did Witch Notes, the latest book that got published, anyway, over on Amazon, I don't know what's going to happen with all that, but anyway, I made sure when I did the geomancy section to include Agrippa's ideas as well in it. They're in parentheses because it just depends on how you look at it. And I think in this case, either Mars in Scorpio works, but I think Mars in Gemini also does because it amplifies up and maybe makes ill-dignified the Gemini's superficiality. And when that happens, then all kinds of things can go awry. The mouth gets going and it doesn't stop when it should. So in any event. Either way you want to look at it, unrestrained passion, but it really has to do with knowing what to say and when not to say it, So that may be what today is about as well. So in any event, I think that, again, how Rubius would align then with, this guy is that only his ideas matter. They're not based on any truth or anything. It's just how he feels in the moment. And so that must be true. A really awful example I can give you that's just fresh in my mind. I say this because my husband's a veteran. And, he knows what happens in war. And what we're seeing now, especially since, Iraq, since the war in Iraq and Afghanistan, and it wasn't that it didn't happen in Vietnam, because it did. But we're seeing an awful lot, and as more weaponry becomes even more sophisticated, you're going to see traumatic brain injury on the rise. Now, it's not always, you don't always know how bad it is for the person until maybe later on. Maybe they even get out of the military before it really starts showing the damage, and it's difficult for doctors at that point to figure it out. It's much easier if the damage is massive right away, apparently, I guess. So the guy in the Oval Office, this guy, because he just doesn't know anything at all. He didn't know I guess he didn't know what Pearl Harbor was. Who doesn't know what Pearl Harbor is? Who doesn't know what happened there? He doesn't. He had to be told. But TBIs are just little headaches. And don't bother him with that because it's not that big of a deal. He's seen people with their arms and limbs shut off. TBI is devastating. And I don't know how you survive it. Whether that happens quickly or it takes years, it's awful. It is not a little headache, you idiot. And that's what he is. He's an idiot for saying that. The number of servicemen out there, the veterans out there that are suffering, still trying to figure it out, massive. I don't even know the number, and I know it's massive. But this is what we're doing here. We need a change. We need a big, big change. We've got our numerology here for the reading is 5. It indicates change. It indicates security, protection. So change in the direction of reassessing what on earth is going on. So there you have it. This is the problem. This is the solution. We can get it together, stand tall, make the change that we need to make, or it's game over. Because if you think it's bad now, you wait. It's going to get even worse. So that's all I'm saying. The cards have been saying it. The numerology's been saying it. The runes have been saying it for the last several years, not just the last few weeks. It's been years now. And it is what it is. So in any event, we'll see what happens tomorrow. But I will tell you that this is only going to get worse. It's only going to get worse. But on a personal front, it's time to make some reassessments of things, whether it's just in our personal lives, because let's face it. I mean, I've even read an article this last weekend that says that kids in school are being affected by this man, and that the discourse between kids has gotten so much worse. It's mean, it's demeaning, it's awful, it's vulgar. And our children are having to deal with that every single day at school, and they shouldn't have to. They should just go to school and have fun and learn and be with their friends and, expand and grow. But oh no, that's not what's happening now. Not because of this guy. If we can't tone down the discourse, we're never going to get past it either. And that's another thing that's happening. There needs to be a shift in perspective from one that is self-focused to one that is more magnanimous and more understanding of the greater picture at hand and who we are to one another. People on the same side are now becoming enemies. How'd that happen? No, my guy's better. No, my guy's better. And if you don't think there's something, and you don't think so, there's something wrong with you. That's what's happening now. So, we can think about this in terms of the greater thing that's going on, or we can think about it personally, but I swear to Goddess herself that this is happening to all of us personally. We're being affected. Our relationships are being affected. Everything is being affected. So, the question is, what are we going to do about it? Are we going to let it go on this way? Or are we going to stop it in its tracks? We have the power. We can do that. We can do anything. Just got to remember that. So anyhow, that's enough. We'll talk tomorrow. Thanks so much. Go over to the blog and click and check out the correspondences when they go up. This video is going to go up over there. It's also going to be up on YouTube. But if you want to watch it over on the blog, you can. check out the newsletter if you want to. That went up on Sunday. I'm going to start doing that just once a month, though, beginning next month, because it's looking for sure like my planting schedule and my cleaning up around the place schedule is just going to take too much of my time. So in any event, I'm going to just probably drop that to once a month, and then back in the fall, we'll go back to maybe every other week or something on the newsletter. But sign up, and that's a fun thing to look at. Stuff that isn't on the blog is in that, and so check that out. And again, check out the third in the series of the Elder Futhark videos, and that's over there on Patreon. If you want to see it now, you'll have to sign up, and you don't have, I mean, $1 is fine, you know. You can pledge whatever you want to. That's what I did with it. I took off the tiers, and it's just pay whatever you want. You can do it monthly. You can do it yearly. If you just want to do a month's worth, and then maybe you don't the next month, that's fine. It's just one charge, I guess. So, you know, it's not a big deal. So anyway, there's that, and I guess that's it. I'll do a weekly, or I'll do a video post and posting alert that'll also go up. So look for that. I do that over there on all the social media places, and to let everybody know it's here. It's like, it'll go up on Instagram as well and Pinterest. So in any event, we'll see you tomorrow. Thanks so much for stopping by. Click subscribe. I'd love you to do that, and be good to yourself. Be good to one another. Blessed be.